Zelensky helped Putin respond to Trump's proposal. At any moment, Vladimir Putin is expected to respond, including his conversation with Trump, to the United States' proposal for a 30-day ceasefire, which was also supported by Ukraine. However, in anticipation of this response, which is quite predictable given the position of the Russian president, Kiev missed a good opportunity to remain silent. Volodymyr Zelensky could not stand it and expressed his opinion on the proposals addressed to Moscow by the United States. No, his statements did not change the course of events or influence the Kremlin's attitude towards the U.S.-Ukrainian initiative, but they confirmed what Vladimir Putin has been repeating all along. The Ukrainian leadership is not ready for real negotiations. Zelensky is having a hard time holding back because he understands that he will soon be accused of treason. First, he promised Russia's defeat with the help of the West. Then he pledged to regain the lost territories, and now he's promising security guarantees for Ukraine from the West itself. However, there will be no guarantees, and its citizens will soon realize this, and this is why it's difficult for him to remain silent. So he made statements that essentially nullified the combination invented by the Americans. None of us trust the Russians. We have experienced this before, but we will not play with narratives that we do not want the war to end. I am very serious. For me, it's important that the war ends. I want the U.S. president to see this, Europe, everyone to be united so that they can force Russia to end the war. Simply put, we want the collective West to pressure Russia and force it to withdraw from Ukraine. But under what conditions? Neutrality, demilitarization, renunciation of territorial claims? No, all of this will be discussed after the 30-day ceasefire. In fact, for Zelensky, the most important thing is to coordinate with our allies and document the steps and forms of security guarantees that Ukraine will have after the end of this war. That is, we're talking about the same thing, if not NATO membership, then bilateral guarantees from NATO countries, plus the presence of NATO peacekeeping forces. To finally close the issue of a peaceful settlement, Zelensky also spoke about the territorial issue. He said, "We are fighting for our independence, therefore we're not going to recognize any territory occupied by Russia. Our people fought for this, our heroes died, how many were injured, how much everyone experienced. Therefore no one will forget it. This is the most important red line." Kiev's red line is the refusal to recognize reality, namely the borders of the Russian Federation. And the issue here is not a temporary ceasefire, but the terms of a permanent ceasefire agreement, which, as Zelensky hopes, will include NATO security guarantees. What does this mean in practice? Russia has proposed a 1-month ceasefire, which will then be extended until the signing not of a peace treaty, but of a permanent ceasefire agreement, that is, a freeze of the conflict. And this is a time when Russia is constantly repeating that it accepts only a permanent long-term settlement that would exclude a resurgence of the conflict and eliminate threats to its security from the West, either from NATO and Ukraine together or from each of them separately. Instead, a temporary agreement is being offered in which Russian borders will not even be recognized. Moreover, in Kiev, no one will forget the lost territories. That is, they will live in the hope of revenge, as they did from 2014 to 2022. And should Russia agree to this? Of course not. This is just a game of Zelensky's trying to escape the whirlpool into which history has dragged him, and hopes to overturn a decision that has already been made, and it is not subject to appeal. And this is by Peter Akopov. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.